D'Angelo Russell. Will the Timberwolves trade him? Supposedly, Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report reports that there's a lot of teams that would like themselves to have it. D'Angelo Russell. I mean, who wouldn't? You can argue that he's a top 20 point guard in the NBA. Okay, and I think it's interesting to see where this could all play out because of the teams that are interested. So Eric Pincus writes that the Miami Heat, the Phoenix Suns, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Los Angeles Clippers have all been mentioned as potential landing spots for D'Angelo Russell. Sources tell Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report. Charania of The Athletic reported earlier the month that the Timberwolves were in fact shopping D'Angelo Russell, mentioning Mike Conley as a potential target. And we just made a Mike Conley deal, and we just said you could arguably trade Mike Conley and Simone Fontecchio with Ochai Agbaji and get the deal done, or do Rudy Gay, Simone Fontecchio, and Mike Conley and get the deal done. Probably because you would say that Russell's more valuable than Conley. Now, the deals that we heard from the Miami Heat is a Kyle Lowry D'Lo swap. You would assume that the Heat would attach a first-round pick because we're taking on an older player who is declining and has another year guaranteed on his deal, even though Russell isn't expiring. Then you have the Dallas Mavericks. I've said you would assume it would be for Spencer Dinwiddie. That's because you wouldn't just give up. Like, if you're trading for Russell, the Timberwolves want a point guard back. So that's what makes Dallas a bit more difficult, because you go, okay, it's got to be around Spencer Dinwiddie. Because a deal of Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, and Frank Ntilikina is not going to get it done, okay? We're not going to trade you D'Angelo Russell for Tim Hardaway Jr., Dwight Powell, and Frank Ntilikina. Or, a Reggie Bullock, Tim Hardaway Jr., Frank Ntilikina deal. Like, that's not going to get it done. Nor do I think Dallas would want to do that. You look at the Clippers, which is another team that it is a bit difficult also to think of, because it's like $30 million you have to get up there, and it's either going to be including Norman Powell with Luke Kennard, or Marcus Morris with Robert Covington, or the other deals you could look at where do you want to do Robert Covington, John Wall, and like Nick Batum. It's very hard to look at the deals out there for this one to get done, because I don't specifically know what would be the said best deal for Russell, because we also don't know what the value is for Russell. He's an expiring contract, but he clearly wants to re-sign with the team and stay somewhere long term. But it's just hard to see that, it gets hard, okay? It gets hard to find deals that people potentially would want to do for D'Angelo Russell. As you guys know, there's plenty of teams who are interested in D'Lo. So it gets, again, how do you decide on re-signing him? If you do trade for D'Lo, is it worth it? How much is he? He's obviously not worth $30 million, but is he worth like $25 million a year? So I think that's where it definitely gets difficult when you look at the value here. And Phoenix, as the last team we can talk about, Phoenix I think is a more realistic, because it's obviously around Chris Paul. And if I was Minnesota, I'd be like, okay, Chris Paul and Dario Saric, or Chris Paul and Jay Crowder for D'Angelo Russell, and we'll throw in, a bad contract in there. But maybe even we throw in Naz Reid, because we're not re-signing Naz Reid. So maybe D'Angelo Russell and Naz Reid for Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, or Chris Paul and Dario Saric, or Chris Paul and Landry Shamet. These are all deals I think they would be fine taking on. And I think the Suns deal Chris Paul, out of all the point guards you could get back, I think Chris Paul's the best guy who could make this team work. We've seen it. Chris Paul's still good, still a good guard in the NBA. And I think, but yeah, so let me hear, okay? So I'm gonna peace out, like, comment, and subscribe. About to go to graduate school, so all your support can go. And yeah, so let me know. Be easier. Okay, my girlfriend texted me, and this is where you guys support the channel. Also want this shit to go away, and I lost like my concealer. Bye.